It's Aaliyah from the Song of the Winds. I hope you're doing really well. Today's video is actually a suggested topic. This was suggested by Ray. Thank you so much, Ray. And it's all about how do you store your tarot cards? What is a good way to store your oracle cards, your tarot cards? Where do you put them? What do you do with them? How do you take care of them? That's what this video is all about. I'll just give you a quick walkthrough of the types of deck storage that we'll be talking about today. So we've got options where you can store your cards inside a cloth, and this can then be used as a reading cloth. You've got organza and different velvet bags that you can use to store your cards. You could keep them in a box, or you can keep them in the original boxes. And depending on what the size of the deck and the box is and the material of the box will impact whether that's really that convenient for you and whether it can be traveled with. So that's another thing to consider. But we'll go through and talk about them one by one. So option one, probably the easiest way to store your tarot or oracle cards is to simply keep them in the box that they came in. Now that can be easier with some particular decks, especially if the box is hard and it is small. However, if you've got boxes that are hard or flimsy or just very big in general, like this one here, it can be a tiny bit tricky to actually put this in your bag and bring it with you, but it's perfect for keeping on your bookshelf. So don't throw these ones away. I think there's a lot of benefit in keeping the original box, especially if you decide at some point that it's not actually really vibing with you, you're not using it, and you might want to sell or trade it or give it away as a gift. Your next option are organza bags and velvet bags. So sometimes you can get quite lucky and you'll receive these with skincare, especially natural skincare. Quite often comes in a muslin bag that might be stamped or branded, but they're usually the perfect size for a tarot card. These are actually repurposed. I received them, I think, in a subscription box, or I've just sort of collected them over the years. I'm pretty sure I got like a wedding favor in this one. What to keep in mind though is the size of your deck compared to the size of the bag. So you want it to be fairly snug. What I've got here is not really ideal. This is where I've got my slow Holler deck at the moment. And you see how there's like a lot of headroom with the deck. So yeah, I probably wouldn't take it out of the house in this bag because there's a chance that when I've got it in the little bag and it's flopping around in my handbag, that some of the cards might actually get dented or even bent because there's just so much headspace. So that's something to consider. See, I can fold it over quite a bit. So maybe don't do this if you're taking it out of the house. This simple sheer organza bag here, I don't really like it. I'm just simply using it because I don't want to have to throw it out because it'd be a waste to do that. And it's a good size for this particular deck. This is the Witch's Tarot. I love this one. I use it quite a bit. Card backs are just gorgeous. So this is a really, really good size for this particular deck because you can see that when I've got it inside the bag, there's not a lot of headroom. It can't move around too much. It's pretty safe. See? That's ideal. It really can't move. And once again, this one isn't exactly ideal because there is a little bit of headroom, but that's where I keep my Llewellyn. Sorry, this is where I keep my Waite Smith deck. Llewellyn. No. Yeah, so that's not exactly ideal either. But for keeping it on my shelf, because the original box is too soft and I just tend not to store it in that box, this is not, yeah, it's not a bad option. And without going too much off topic, there's a lot of myths out there about how tarot and oracle decks should be stored, that they should be stored in silk and they should be this and that. Seriously, just do whatever. The point of it is to keep it as free as you possibly can from dust and dings and moisture damage and any of that sort of stuff. So that's another option. Just simple organza bags, whatever you have at home, honestly. It's just to keep it nice and safe, free from dust and damage. My third favourite way to store decks is actually in their own box, in a very, very special box that you've set aside for that use. This was a gift from my dear Nana, and I keep one of my decks in here that I use quite regularly. I absolutely love this box. So using something that you've got, it doesn't have to be Egyptian, it doesn't have to be timber, it doesn't have to be, whatever, but using what you've got, using what you have that has value and meaning to you is far more important than something that looks like it's cool. It's really more about what actually vibes with you. So I keep my Dame Darcy tarot in here. There's a couple of little sneaky crystals. that I keep with this particular deck. And I'm going to touch on crystals and tarots in a separate video, but this is turquoise and this is amethyst. And the reason why I keep it with this particular deck is the Dame Darcy it's a mermaid themed deck, so it's really watery. I'm a Scorpio, so I'm a water sign, and I find that quite often I get really, bogged down in my emotions. So sometimes this deck can just sort of stack on a little bit. It makes me feel a little bit too emotional. So I keep a piece of turquoise in here. It's blue, it connects with the throat chakra, and it helps me express myself more effectively. And I keep some amethyst in here because it connects with the third eye. I want to sort of draw myself up out of that watery emotional state. And it helps improve your intuition and helps facilitate divination. It's very peaceful stone. So yeah, that's part of the reason I do that. So you can keep crystals, herbs, special things that you might want to keep with your deck in there. And you see how there's a lot of room to move around. So it's not really practical to take a big box out of the house, certainly not in a handbag. So I find this option is best when you have them at home and you just can keep them somewhere safe. But that's where I keep my Dame Darcy. And this lovely box here was actually from a subscription box, but it reminds me of another box that I had when I was much younger that has since gone missing. So it's nostalgic for me in that way. And the deck I keep in here is an oracle deck, and it's the Raggedy Oracle by Duck Soup. So this to me is all about inner child work. It's an incredible shadow work deck for me. I keep a piece of rose quartz in here because I just need to keep the loving vibes with this deck. Sometimes it's just so spot on, it really picks at a scab. So I keep this one special. I sort of keep the energy of that contained, if that makes sense. That's part of the reason why I keep this one in a box. And option 5 is to actually store your cards inside a reading cloth, and they can be tied up, they can be rolled up, however you like to do it. I have these tied up in like a Japanese furoshiki sort of way. I actually learned how to do this when I was working at Lush, and they call it knot wrapping. So it's a bit of fabric that you have actually wrapped in a particular way around an item, and it can be used for, gift giving or whatever. But it's really great for storing your tarot or oracle cards. There's a little bit of a trick to learning how to do it, but once you have got the basics down, you can do, pretty much anything. So I'll show you how to actually wrap when you've got a really, really big cloth or a really, really small cloth. So here as an example, I'm using the Slow Holler reading cloth, and the reason for that is it's fairly small, so it's a good example for you. And what I like to do is just turn it over so that the nice print is on the outside once it's all rolled up. And there's a few different ways that you can do it. I've got here the wooden tarot because it was handy. You can start in a corner and roll. And then tie it up like so. Or you can place it in the center of the cloth. And pull up the opposite edges, tie a nice firm knot all the way down to the cards. You can do it double if you want. It keeps the little tails not so messy. And what you could do here, if you wanted to be super cute, is make it like a little bag. Just tie it at the very, very top. And you could carry it like that. Probably not the most secure way to do your cards, honestly, but if you wanted to get a bit of sneaky present wrapping inspiration, that's a good one. But I like to make sure the sides are all folded in. Keep it nice and neat. Do a knot, tie it as close as you can to the other one, and then you can do it with a double knot if you like. And that's it. So once you're familiar with wrapping like that, it is just super quick. They actually look really nice, so it's easy, it's nice and safe to carry in your bag. You've got the reading cloth there with you. You can even wrap a few little crystals in if you like to read with crystals, or even store it on your bookshelf that way. Now, if you have got a cloth which is actually really quite large, if you're using a scarf or a nice piece of fabric, there's a slightly different way that you can do it. I'll show you how to do that now. In this cloth, I have got my Wildflower reading cards by Cheryl and Darcy. These have featured as a favourite before, and yeah, they're still one of my favourite cards. Love them. Very, very insightful. And I love lino cut, but anyway, I digress. So what you do with your cards, you place them off to the side somewhere safe. And you can see with this particular cloth, it's really big. So it's so big I can't even fit it onto the screen. It's really quite large. If you're looking for a good place to get cloths, this one is actually from Lush, and they make them with recycled plastics. So there's 2 500ml plastic bottles worth of plastic that have actually gone into creating this fabric. So it's another way to reuse fabric and keep it out of the ocean and keep it out of landfill. So that's something to consider. Go and check out Lush for their recycled plastic scarves. It's really soft too. You wouldn't know that it wasn't real fabric. But anyway, I'm not plugging Lush. So turn it over because you want to have your nice pretty side facing outwards. You get your opposite corners and bring them together. So you're essentially making a big large triangle. See? There's my edges. Nice big triangle. And then you want to have it laid down flat on the table in front of you with the main point pointing towards you, with a triangle pointing down towards you. Get your cards, make sure they're all nice and neat. Place it down here at the very tip of the scarf and drag it forward so that you can secure this little tail underneath the deck. You'll see why in a minute. So we've got that all secure. Now we're going to start to roll. Once, make sure it's all nice and smooth on the sides. Twice. And because these cards are fairly large, it's pretty neat there. All right, so you're not going to have any messiness. You grab your 2 ends, tie a knot like this, and you can come in nice and tight to the cards, make your little bunny tails, and do a knot. Do a bow, I should say. And that's it. Lovely. Nice and safe in your bag. You've got your reading cloth. You can put crystals in there if you like. And yeah, that's one of the other ways to do it. So I hope you enjoyed learning about how I store my tarot and oracle cards. Please let me know in the comment section below how you like to store yours, and if you've got any other tips or suggestions that you think other viewers might really enjoy learning about. And if you like this video, maybe give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing for more tarot, crystal, spiritual biz videos. I upload on a Monday and a Thursday, so there's plenty of content to keep you going. Thanks for watching, and until next time, you have a lovely day, week, month, whatever it ends up being, and I'll speak to you again real soon. Bye!